Most people visualize their future the wrong way. They try to create a new reality while the ego is still running the mind, and from that state, nothing changes. Most people try to visualize their future while their mind is still noisy. Thoughts are racing, emotions are reacting, the ego is talking nonstop. In other words, the autopilot program of the mind is running at full force. But according to many meditation traditions, creation cannot occur from that state. Why? Because the ego does not create. The ego only reacts. It reacts to memories. It reacts to fear. It reacts to past experiences. So when we try to visualize our future while the ego is still in control, we are actually visualizing from the same patterns that created our past. And that is why so many people feel that visualization does not change their lives. Visualization that actually works happens from a very different state of consciousness, a state where the mind becomes quiet, the ego softens, and awareness returns to something deeper. Some traditions call this state the void. Others call it pure awareness. And in this video, I will show you 3 simple steps that allow you to enter this state. True visualization does not begin with imagination. It begins with meditation. And the process usually unfolds in 3 simple stages. The first step is relaxation. You close your eyes and relax your body. Your body slows down, your nervous system settles, you allow every muscle in your body to relax completely from head to toe, but your consciousness stays fully awake. In fact, your awareness becomes even sharper. Your body is deeply relaxed, yet your mind becomes so still and attentive that you could hear a pin drop. This is important, because meditation is not about falling asleep. It is about becoming aware. As the body relaxes, something interesting begins to happen. You start noticing the constant chatter of the mind. Thoughts appear, memories appear, judgments appear. In this state, you begin to see the chatter or the voice of the ego clearly. The second step is subtle but powerful. Instead of identifying with the thoughts, you begin to observe them. Those thoughts are not you. If it were you, you would have a complete control over them. But they arise even when we wanted to stop talking, right? They are not always right either. They judge, resist, fear, and limit you. So separate yourself from them. No matter how loud the ego continues talking, do not believe it. Do not let it control your emotions or behaviors. Instead, you move into the seat of the observer. You watch the thoughts come and go. Judgment appears, notice, let it go. Fear appears, notice, let it go. Resistance appears, notice, let it go. Shame appears, notice, let it go. Because the ego only controls us when we believe every thought is me. When we remain in the seat of the observer instead, the constant chatter gradually begins to quiet. Its power begins to weaken. Eventually, ETT stops rendering the same pattern over and over in your reality. As the ego settles, consciousness moves into a very different state, a state of stillness, a state of emptiness. Some traditions call this the void, others call it pure awareness. It is a state where the mind is no longer reacting to the past. The chatter has quieted, the ego has softened, awareness simply exists, and from this state, visualization becomes very powerful. The mind becomes a clean slate where a new reality can finally be impressed. On this deeper layer of the mind, from a pure consciousness perspective, you can begin to plant a new image, a new possibility, a new program. This is why many meditation traditions say, first become still, then visualize. From this silent state, visualization is no longer forced. Instead, images arise from a calm and coherent mind, free of resistance, free of fear, free of judgment. And many spiritual traditions believe that this deeper layer of consciousness is divine consciousness. Only the divine has creative power. Ego does not have. The human in us cannot create. It can only react to creation. It fears, it judges, it resists. Creation comes from something deeper, something divine. The divine awareness exists within all of us and part of us that lies beyond the ego. Interestingly, this idea appears symbolically in the biblical story of Adam and Eve. According to the story, Adam and Eve originally lived in a state of innocence. They experienced no shame, no judgment, no separation. But after eating the fruit of knowledge, something changed. Self-consciousness appeared, judgment appeared, shame appeared. In many spiritual interpretations, this moment symbolizes the birth of the egoic mind, the moment when humanity became trapped in constant self-judgment and mental noise. And in that sense, meditation can be seen as the process of returning to the state of awareness that existed before the mind became overwhelmed by the ego, returning to the divine awareness. After all, only the divine has creative power. Meditation is not about escaping reality. It is about returning to the deeper layer of consciousness that already exists within us. When the ego quiets, when the mind enters stillness, when awareness returns to its natural state, visualization begins to come from a very different place. Not from fear, not from resistance, but from clarity. And many spiritual traditions believe that from that state, creation becomes far more powerful. Not because we force reality to change, but because the mind is finally aligned with something deeper,